line screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lie. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth hits harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. American fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's up, everybody? You guys want to know what winning looks like? Today is one of those days, my God, all day, win after win after win. The momentum's back, baby. You can feel the shift. The tide is turning. Trump is killing it. MAGA is back. Oh man, these are the kind of days where you're just like, it's all worth it. It's all worth it to be proven right about like everything. This is the kind of day where the doomers are like, no, man, we got to come up with a reason to be mad. We got to come up with how this is bad for them because it's so not, my God. So, I mean, we got the humiliation of the king here and basically him full submission. So Trump the White House, Trump trolling the king all day while also building the special relationship all over again. Iran is it's getting worse by the day, collapsing. We have OPEC is now falling apart, which is going to be amazing for oil prices going forward. The cartel of OPEC is breaking, and arrests, friends, those who've been like, where are my arrests, man? Arrest, baby. They're coming out. Comey indicted, arrest warrant out. We got guys from COVID, assistant to Fauci getting busted. So much more. We're going to cover it. Dan Bongino, excellent interview. We're going to break down with him, talking about what he came into in the FBI. And then we got election polls coming out. They're early still, but now the Democrats are crapping themselves almost as much as Rich Barris and Robert Barnes. They are pissing their pants after what they saw today because their leads are evaporating. Ain't no gonna be no blue wave. So yeah, man, and that's just the beginning of the details of how good today was. So buckle up, folks. Gonna have probably a long live tonight as we catch up on all of it. I'm gonna do my best to get us out of here in an hour and a half to 2 hours, but you know how it is. All right, before we get started, guys, hit the like, hit the subscribe, show your little free support for the channel. Don't cost you nothing. Welcome to the chat. I'm going to call you guys out in a minute here, but ground rules, no trolling. Disagreements welcome, no trolling. Mods are here, and they got the band gun ready to go because we don't accept trolling in this place. This is a place for good conversation, good debate, and friendships to be made. All right. Let's do some calling out. Diana, numero uno tonight. How you doing? Just landing. Cass Sink, what's up, brother? Jay Tyrus, what a day. What a day, what a day. Job for 9. Wago Waco, US 1. AK Downrange, what's up? AC USA, brother, been a while. Gen X MAGA, 1776. Jim Boswell in the house. Nick Majors, Alice Fordham, Funny Guy, Ellen Hunt, Donna, Tammy Anderson, Shogun. Hit the like and subscribe. That's a good mod right there. He knows what I'm paying him for. So I pay him those big bucks. Shh, don't tell him, Shogun. MQ3177, what's going on from Tejas? Vince Feliz. Twice I've beaten Benny to the punts. Man, listen, Benny Johnson, there's some really, really great about not having to have a big production team and being able to react quickly to stuff. Job for 9 with a $5 super chat says, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that very much. If you guys want to be guaranteed that I read your comments, the only way to guarantee it is a super chat. Otherwise, tag me and I'll do my best to find it in between segments. All right. Let's get moving. Call out I Love Music over on Rumble. Holding it down over there. It's a little lonely on Rumble tonight. That's okay. That's okay. Accelerate Growth. What's going on? So we got some Rumble peeps as well. I see Toe Cramp, Super Dave, Rum Dog, Holy Smoke. All right. Good to see you guys. All right. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We's going to get into it because we got a lot. We got a lot to say. So shall we start? All right. Tonight, actually, this came out this morning. Trump announces Iran has informed us they are in a state of collapse. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they'll be able to. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, why is Iran saying they're in a state of collapse? Well, we've covered the oil. We've covered the economy. Last night we talked about there's unrest building up. It's all starting to pile up. And today they got bad news as they put together a toll plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, trying to undercut the USA's blockade, kind of get around it, get the other Gulf states to agree to it, and they all sided with the United States. That's that Abraham Accords. That's all that work Trump's been doing in the Middle East to get them together, and so they said F you to Iran, and now Iran is all alone. There's no one there beside them. Meanwhile, in Iran, nationwide protests and economic unrest are imminent. Their top security council is warning. So everything's working out. It's all, and we're not even having to fire any more missiles, which we're going to get to in a minute here, because there's a major update that just came out on what Trump's plan is going forward with Iran. But right now, this blockade is one of the great military moves of Trump's entire presidency, because this is what might lead to a regime change. And Trump's going to prove all the doubters wrong again. No, you can't do regime change without airstrike or without boots on the ground. Trump's going to have to put boots on the ground. Trump's lining up to get boots on the ground. They were psyoping MAGA like crazy to terrify us. They said all assets deployed. Tucker, Megan, Alex, go scare them. Go scare them. Go divide MAGA. We can't lose Iran. City of London, all the intel agencies are just like, all assets deployed. This is it. And Trump, unbelievably, because he's just the best, never gave in to any of the pressure, didn't let these people do anything to sway him. And now it's coming together. The assessment's blunt. System can only withstand another 6 to 8 weeks of pressure before unrest becomes unavoidable. Up to 2 million private sector jobs at risk by the end of the spring. Being driven by a hard constrained oil system, compressing timelines, storage capacities down to roughly 12 to 22 days. I got to tell you, the only reason it's even this 12 to 22 is because they're burning their oil off right now. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing to survive. So getting crazy. The shift pulls the economic shock forward, already visible across the system. Daily revenue loss is accelerating the hundreds of millions. Immediate budget strain forcing subsidy cuts. Food inflation is above 100% across essentials. It's being reported bread's up 140, cooking oil 200%. Factories and energy-linked sectors shutting down. Damage is no longer contained to oil, spreading across the industrial base. Steel output disrupted. Petrochemical exports halted. Automotive sector hit by shortages, war damage, and layoffs. This is a massive country. This is 90 million people. Okay, so if you took Texas, California, and Florida and put them all into one country, that's the size of Iran. In Texas and California are two of the top 5-6 GDPs in the entire world if they were their own countries. So Iran is, it's easy to just think of it as like some desert militia group, but no, this is a legitimately huge country, and all this is falling apart. Their infrastructure is starting to crater. Their economy is grinding to a halt. Trump's getting exactly what he wants. It's incredible to watch this because the people aren't going to put up with this much longer. Trump weakened the military. They're not gearing up. Nobody's able to get to them. There might be a little bit coming in here and there, but the IRGC is freaking out so bad it's put the entire mullah, all their government, the Ayatollah government, in house arrest. This is the beginning. This is how an empire falls. They start panicking like this. They thought they had all these moves. They're like, "You're trapped in here with us," and we're like, "No, we're cool. We're chilling. You're trapped. You're trapped here with us because we're just closing you off," and it's working. Economic pressure is turning into street-level risk. Lost income, rising prices, collapsing industrial activity converging at the same time. Dynamic clear oil system tightens. Economy follows. Impact reaches a population almost immediately. Trump's strategy is built on accelerating pressure and moving regimes' ability to delay. Reality of collapsing storage, forced production cuts, immediate economic pain makes the strategy increasingly difficult. The sequence is in motion. Their own security apparatus warning outcome might not be containable. As the oil system tightens, pressure moves, regime knows clock is ticking. So that's where we're at, guys. It's really getting ugly over there. And then knowing all of this, so Trump has now assessed, he's gotten new information. He watched what happened with OPEC today. He saw the Gulf states turn against, and so he announced to his aides, we're just going to keep the extended blockade on. So all this talk of war drums beating again, us about to unleash on them, Trump has decided, no, we're just going to keep the blockade going and let it collapse on its own. So as Trump opted to continue squeezing Iran's economy and oil exports by preventing shipping to and from its ports. He assesses other options, resume bombing or walk away from the conflict, carried more risk than maintaining the blockade. Now, let's talk about this for a minute, because this is from the Wall Street Journal, which, a lot of times when the stories actually finally get printed, this is apparently his aides. Still a little trust me, bro. So I see one of two things happening here. And honestly, they're probably both equally equally going to work. I trust this man so much in his gut instincts. He's the best political instincts of anybody I've ever seen. He just makes the right decision time after time after time. Two options here. Either it's exactly what this says, and they're just going to collapse on their own, and Iran really is at the brink. The people are ready to rise up, and they know the aircraft carriers are there now, right? So if we got 3 carriers there, plus a blockade, so the people can know, they can be confident that this time, if we protest and go to take over our nation, go knock them out, this time we got backup. The first time, Trump was like, we got your back, but we're not there yet. And they went ahead and they got mowed down, 40,000 or so. Tragic, horrible stuff. And I believe that's one of the reasons Trump decided to go when he did. He noticed the people were ready. And he's been waiting for this. So they go and we provide backup. If the IRGC starts mowing down people, we bomb them. That's a possibility. Maybe there's some special ops or something. I don't know. But I have a feeling we're there to make sure that if it happens, it succeeds. That's option number 1. Option number 2, this is the juke before the bomb. That while Charles is here, Charles is, exceeding that we're done. The City of London, we're letting you guys, we're breaking free. We're reviewing the terms of the deal. You guys won. While that's going on, Trump's entertaining all that attention, and then will unleash hell when Charles leaves. And this is the juke to throw off Iran. That's the other option. So those are the two things I see as far as what Trump's planning. Now, there could be a wrench thrown in where Iran finally gives a deal and is like, take all of our nuclear. We're desperate. We'll see. I don't think that happens, though. These people are dug in. City of London is not going to let them fall without going on a suicide mission. But that's where we're at, and there's a reason for it. Now, Besant has been choking him out from the back as well. Today, it was announced Treasury Office of Foreign Assets designated 35 entities and individuals that oversee Iran's shadow banking architecture. These networks allow Iran's armed forces, including the IRGC, Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, to access the international financial system to receive payment for illicit oil sales, purchase sensitive components for missiles and other weapons systems, transfer money to Iran's terrorist proxies. So they found 35 ways that the IRGC was still getting some funds. And you know what that means? They found it. That means they're tracking it and they're shutting it down. So Iran, again, the pressure is ramping up even more. And Besant calls it out, says Iran's shadow banking system serves as critical financial lifeline for its armed forces. In other words, they're not going to get paid anymore. How long are they going to stick around if they're not getting paid? This dude, we don't give Besant enough credit, and we give him a lot. But this guy is quite possibly you could write him down as like one of the great generals in American history if this continues, because he is wielding Treasury as his own personal army and winning financial wars, which is what most wars ultimately are, right? Besant he's a genius, and he is ruthless. The man keeps coming out on his own. Trump, he's one of those guys Trump just points in the direction, is like, go, Scott. And Scott just takes it out. Plus, he's punched like 3 people in the cabinet when they've gotten in arguments. So the guy is, as Tom Luongo calls him, Big Gay Patton. He's like General Patton, but the gay financial version. But the dude is tough as nails. Says illicit funds funneled through this network support the regime's ongoing terrorist operations, posing direct threat to U.S. personnel, regional allies, and global economy. Financial institutions are on notice. Any institution that facilitates or engages with these is a risk of severe consequences. In other words, we're tracking you, we're going to shut it down, and then we're going to make you pay the price. This is going to come back on you personally. It reminds me of the story from Trump's first term, where he was, I think he was negotiating or talking to Al-Qaeda, an Al-Qaeda member. And the guy was putting up a fight, and Trump was like, bring me the picture. And they brought him satellite images of the dude's family. And Trump was just like, listen, we know where your family is. Like, do not do this. And the guy caved. Like that's a famous story from Trump's first term. And this is the kind of thing that it reminds me of. We're not playing games with these people. These are the most wicked, evil people. They hate everything about us. They've taken advantage of us for decades, and we're done. And what we see on the front, where sometimes it looks slow, people get frustrated with Trump. Nothing's happening, man. He's too nice to these people. Why does he have them over for dinner? Why does he bring them in and talk to them? We should be arresting them all. Dude, behind the scenes, Trump has assembled a team of wolves, and they're ruthless. They are attacking from the behind the scenes. And Besant's one of the ones who lets us in a little bit. He follows it up with the Treasury Department, through economic fury, has targeted Iran's international shadow banking infrastructure, access to crypto. How much you guys want to bet we just take it? Shadow fleet, weapons procurement networks, funding for terrorist proxies in the region, independent Chinese teapot refineries that support Iran's oil trade. These actions have disrupted tens of billions of dollars in revenue that would be used to fund terrorism. Under POTUS' maximum pressure campaign, Tehran's inflation has doubled, its currency is rapidly depreciated. Karg Island, Iran's primary oil export terminal, is soon nearing storage capacity to force the regime to reduce oil production, resulting in additional approximately $170 million per day in lost revenue, causing permanent damage to their oil infrastructure. Treasury will continue to exert maximum pressure on any person, vessel, or entity. So it's on. And United Arab Emirates announced they finally have the balls to break out of OPEC and OPEC Plus as of Friday. This is the global oil cartel out of the Middle East that has constantly manipulated prices for as long as I can remember. How many times have we heard, especially in the Obama years and Bush years, it was like, we got to ask OPEC to pump more out. OPEC would decide how much oil to put out in the world over and over and over again to manipulate prices. And they liked acting as if they were the kings of the world. But they're falling apart now. UAE has said, we're on our own. We're bouncing. It cites its long-term strategic economic vision, accelerated investment in domestic production. In other words, they want to sell on their own and make bank. Trump, I mean, if you can't see it by now, guys, Iran was the key to so much. It's not the key to everything. Nothing is. But it's the key to a vast majority of the issues we have had in the world with economies, with oil, energy, shipping, you name it. The proxy state of both China and City of London used to funnel that money, used to manipulate. The Middle East is no longer the same place. All these countries are choosing sovereignty and peace amongst each other, and they're all pissed at Iran, who is one of the holdups, because they liked Trump's vision for them. They liked being free of City of London. They're like, this is a better life for us. Thank you. We're tired of the games. We're tired of the manipulation. We're tired of not being able to build our own countries the way we want to. I mean, look what he says here. Cites its long-term strategic and economic vision, accelerate investment in domestic production. That's finally building the country they want to build, is what they're saying. Will now produce freely without OPEC output constraints. Says it will bring additional production to market gradually and measured align with demand. You know what this means? Cheaper oil. You know, one of the stupid questions I keep getting, it drives me nuts. I talk about how we have all this oil and we're energy independent, which is completely true. We're the number one exporter in the world. And I talk about all that's going on. how this Iran situation has made us so much stronger. And I always get people asking me, well, why is oil so high then, bro? Like it's a gotcha question. Oh, well, why is my oil so high? If it's everywhere, if oil's never going to run out, why is the price so high? People you're not paying for oil. Do you understand that? Nobody pays for oil. What you pay for is the production of oil, the people who go and get the oil. Do you have those tools? Can you refine it in your backyard? Oil is like water. Well, you pay for water, don't you? Yeah, you pay for water because somebody built those pipes. Somebody's pumping it to you. Somebody's filtering it. Somebody put it in that water bottle. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for transportation. All that. That's what you pay for. Nobody pays for oil. And that's why it's such a stupid thing to be brought up. Whoa, yeah, you're not paying for that. You're paying for the fact that all the world produces oil. And right now, all that oil, a lot of it is not making it to market. And so in a free market system, which oil is somewhat, especially now that we're kicking the manipulators out, that means oil prices go up. Now, the one way we could stop that is we could stop exporting and we could force it all to stay here. But there'd still be issues with refineries and so on and so forth, because different places have different oil. Certain refineries can refine it a different way. There's always going to be an impact when there's global outages like this, okay, or stoppages, I should say. But what is going on is that the U.S., say our oil goes back to $4 a gallon nationwide. I know you Californians and Illinois, everybody who lives in liberal states is like, mine's $6. Sorry, you live in a liberal state. They tax the snot out of it. That's not our fault. But let's say nationwide it goes back up to $4.50 tops. Okay, that sucks. Temporarily, that's going to suck. That's still cheaper than the vast majority of the world pays. And if it leads to us breaking Iran, breaking this cabal, breaking City of London, weakening China, so that our future, when this blockage is removed and the oil flows freely and OPEC is broken up, all of a sudden oil plummets and you get the cheapest oil of your lifetime. Well, maybe not of your lifetime if you grew up in the 70s, but oil goes back down to $2, $1.75 maybe, $2.25, somewhere in that range. That's where oil can get down to once the blockage, because of everything Trump's doing now. So what would you rather do? Pay $2.75, $3 again for the next 10, 20 years, or pay $4.50 for 2 months and then get $2 gasoline the rest of the time, which, by the way, cheaper oil doesn't just mean cheaper at the pump. It means cheaper food. It means cheaper products, because petroleum products are in everything. You see the great Landman scene where he spells out where oil is in everything. Oil is in everything. Our entire economy is built around it. So everything gets cheaper when oil's cheaper. So if Trump pulls this off, yeah, for 2 months, 3 months, you're paying higher oil, and then the floodgates unleash. That's what Trump's setting up. So stop coming to me with the stupid question, why is oil so high? You don't pay for oil. You don't pay for oil. You pay for the service of getting oil that you can just walk up and put it in your tank and move on about your day afterwards. That's what you're paying for. Convenience. So they explicitly reference Hormuz disruption as part of the context for the decision. In other words, they're done playing these games. They don't want to be a part of it anymore. We're going to find our own way to get our oil out there. UAE joined OPEC in 1967 and member for nearly 60 years. This would be their 59th year, and they're saying goodbye. Friends, that is a generational shift. Trump is changing things generationally. We're at the beginning of a new world, and it's going to be a much better world as it progresses. This is incredible stuff. There's a seismic shift. UAE is effectively breaking free to pump as much oil as it wants at a moment when the world's desperately short of supply, but not for long. Not for long. Peter Zero Hedge says that UAE OPEC plus quota is at 3.5 million barrels per day. Its output right now 2.2, but going forward it says we can go up to 6 if the market requires it. So they might purposely keep it down for their own purposes for a while, but it's no longer OPEC that requires this. Now you can go directly to the country. Peter St. Ong, who's an excellent economist, says this is massively bullish for the global economy. OPEC breakup could reduce long-term oil prices by 20% or more. Think about that. 20% or more from if Trump already, so 2 months ago, right before this all went down, here in North Carolina, I got to pay $2.29 a gallon. That's how low Trump got the prices on his own. That's before the Venezuela oil started coming over, and that's before OPEC's breaking up and City of London's ability to control the strait, control shipping, and manipulate oil is all broken up from Iran. Okay, so before any of that happened, I got to fill up my car at $2.29 just 2 months ago. Now, we have OPEC breaking up. We have Venezuela is already producing oil. All of this is hitting the market. We've cleared out the Panama Canal. We've cleared up the strait over by Malaysia. And now it looks like we could see 20% or more go down. So you know what 20% of 229 is? 44 more cents. So that puts us at about 185 a gallon. That, my friends, is incredible. Will we see that? I can't say for sure, but we could. We could. We'll see how it goes. But I'm telling you, I have a feeling if all this gets settled, we could see $40 a barrel by the end of the year. And that would see really cheap gas compared to what we've been paying. We're never going to get back under $1, that kind of thing, just because of inflation. The value of the dollar is just different now. But you realize if we get down to $2 or say $1.75 at its absolute lowest per gallon nationwide, adjusted for inflation, that's cheaper than gas was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So this is what we could be seeing, guys, and this is why I'm so bullish for our economy among all the other stuff. Now, Iran, what else is it doing? Well, listen, a little birdie told you guys that China is really struggling because of Iran. Well, the New York Times came to tell you that that Ace was right. I've been right this whole time. I've been telling you guys this for about 3-4 weeks now. And the New York Times is like, it's so obvious now, we got to do a story on it. Iran war is starting to expose cracks in China's economy. China's strategic reserves of oil and natural gas have insulated somewhat, but its manufacturing-based economy is beginning to falter. Trump, man, the genius. Someday people are going to go back and study. They're going to study the genius of what Trump's doing in Iran. And this is why there's such a coordinated psyop to make us all think it's a failure, to make us all think that Trump betrayed us. This is not MAGA. This is not America first. That's why this psyop all happened all at once. That's why all the influencer assets were deployed. That's why the media cannot say anything favorable about all this, even though they loved war in the past. This is why NATO and UK and Europe, City of London, none of them got involved in this war, because this is the one that hurts the most. This is the one that Trump said, oh, I'm not going to just kill 2 birds with one stone. I'm going to kill 8. And Iran was the key, unlock it all. And now they can't help themselves. Even they have to report it. I mean, this is incredible. And every day a story like this comes out, there's fewer people that can make the argument that this was a bad idea. There's fewer people who can make the argument that this is a loss. And that's great. That's great for all of us. It's great for looking ahead to the midterms this year. Very interesting for those of you into the conspiracy stuff. The Q post, look at the Delta for today, April 28th, 2020. That's 6 years ago today. All the walls are falling down. And we get the exit of OPEC. Just one of those things that makes you say, interesting. And finally, found this graphic today. I thought it was an excellent graphic to show to you guys. City of London. So for those of you who don't understand it, this is a great graphic to kind of break it down, how it's connected to all this, how it matters. 1 square mile, quietly in charge, the city that owns everything and answers to no one. Not quite everything, but a lot. But you see global influence. This is a square mile inside of London. And you see shipping and power and oil and money and paper. You got Dubai and New York and Brussels. Was that Singapore? So Hong Kong. They have their grips in everything. And here, right here, guys, this is Hormuz right here. Shipping. Lloyd's of London. What power they have with shipping, because they can also manipulate oil prices out, and that's where Iran comes in. They are pissed about that. And it's not just that. I mean, it's also the fact that Iran kept Middle East destabilized whenever they wanted to, kept funding the terrorists so they could use that whenever they needed to. But this is a great explanation. You got the White House over here. You got Dubai. There's London itself over here. But this gives you an idea. And you got the old ships from the Dutch trading over here. Oh, you can't really see that on the screen, but right here, Dutch trading from the old empire, which is where it started. Well, not where it started, but where it really got its grips and everything. So, this is who we're dealing with. It's not the only thing we're dealing with. I mean, we got other problems. We got China as a problem, but not nearly what this is. This is the one that's the most embedded, and Iran is breaking it, which is why the king's here. I guarantee it. We're going to cover that a little bit here soon. But the deep state is falling, and that's City of London. And Iran was the key. This is, it's just brilliant what Trump's pulling off, man. I mean, again, China, they can't not report it anymore. The OPEC thing is so huge. I mean, they just can't. Everybody's reporting it now. All these things, Trump, what has Trump accomplished? He exposed NATO. He exposed the influencers. He's exposing the weakness of China. He's exposing the weakness of Iran. He's exposing the entire EU, how weak they are. Trump, this is one of the most brilliant moves ever. And listen, when he first attacked Iran, I didn't get it, but I trusted him. And that's the difference, is I voted for the guy and I trusted him, and it's all working out. And this is all just like you promised. Once this is done, which it is starting to fold up. It's not that much longer till Iran's completely fallen apart. But once this is fully done, Trump's already said it, the Democrats are then the number one enemy. He said it in a truth post. Said, I'm coming back domestically. Got to take care of the Democrats here at home. And that was what he put out there. And based on the arrests we're starting to see, it's already starting. But we'll talk about that next. All right. If you guys enjoy so far where we're headed, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching. Share the show if you enjoy it. If you're on X, repost. But hit it up. Let me check out what's going on in the chat, and then next we're going to be talking about the DOJ seriously ramping up arrests, and we are in indictments, and we are getting a ton of news about it today. So we're going to deep dive on that and show you guys the momentum we're starting to get at home. Accountability has started. And this is this is something you can't undo once you start, and it's coming out in full force. So we'll be covering that in just a couple minutes here after I get into the chat. But first, I want to shout out the super chats. I got Doji Ruiz says $5, says that new listener, love the content, American First. I love it. Thank you so much for the super chat and the support of the channel. I appreciate it. If you really like it, you might want to consider becoming a member. Look it up in the description. Click the link. You get a free month to my Patreon. 1 free month, 30 days for free. Go check it out. Get in the Discord over there, and then you can check out all the members' content as well, which it's never been a better time to be a member. As I announced last night, I'm going to be really building it out a lot more in just about 2 weeks. Okay, I thought I saw another one. I don't. Oh, there it is. All right, Nick Majors, $5 says, excited about the growth of the channel. Thank you so much, Nick. Bro, you've been one of the best supporters I have, so thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciate you. Okay. Did I miss anybody who tagged me? The tags are kind of hard to see sometimes as I'm running through this, guys, so be patient with me as I look. There's a lot of people chatting. I love it. Hope you guys keeping the keeping attention, just making sure there's no trolls. But I don't see any trolls right now, so it's looking good. Accelerate Growth says, that'd be great if naked shorting is one of the things exposed as a result of this. Funny you should bring that up. We have a story that's starting to break about China going after hedge funds and maybe kicking them out of their country, which would definitely impact shorting. You know, one of the reasons I believe Trump has been waiting on the shorting issue is because he wants to shore up our Main Street economy first. And this is all part of that. All this overseas stuff is part of that. Because if he cleans up shorting here in America and the market manipulation, it'll crash the markets. And without us being strong foundationally, it's going to be a major issue. There's just that much fraud. But also Trump is starting, which we saw with the Falkland Islands by Argentina, which are British. Trump's starting to he might be making a move to get some of those islands back from UK. Including like maybe the British Virgin Islands, stuff like that, where a lot of these offshore high-frequency traders are and stuff. So anyways, could get very interesting on that. I do think by the end of his term, there will be substantial moves made on the manipulations in the markets. Would be great if I could get Scott Jennings on my show. Scott Jennings is way too big for me, man. He's way too big, but I love Scott. He's great. He is great. Just Mike says, thanks for the prayers yesterday, everyone. Today's a good day. You didn't die. Both procedures went well. Surgeon pat himself. Dude, Mike, thank you for sharing that. Man, I'm so sorry. I missed it yesterday that you were in surgery. So I'm sorry I didn't pray for you on the show, but hope you're doing well, brother. Spanish says, I should debate Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll is a loser. I don't even want him on my show. He's a liar. He's not original. He just he steals other people's content, touts it as his own, and all he doesn't have a single original thought of his own. He wouldn't even be worth a debate. And he'd never show up. I've never seen him show up to debate anybody. He's not going to be anywhere that he can't retreat behind just calling people out as losers. So yeah, I would never. I'm not interested in having Ian Carroll on. But if he's interested, I'd do it because I'd make him look like a fool. There are some guys, even on the left, that I extremely disagree with who would put up a good fight. He's not one of them. He's not one of them. So, yeah, I just wouldn't be that interested. All right. Who's ready to talk about arrests? So, I know this is one of the things you guys have been waiting for the most. This is one of the biggest. So one of the biggest criticisms I keep seeing as I do this show. You guys know I love President Trump. I trust President Trump. I believe in what he's doing to make America great again, America first, breaking global power structures, and bringing back our American financial system and dominance. I believe all that. But one of the biggest criticisms is always, where's the arrests? I want more arrests. We need arrests. Nothing's happening. And I got to tell you, it got annoying because there was plenty happening. But now we're finally starting to see the kind of action that everybody who just wants big names wants or front page action. So it's a huge win today for all of that. And this is not the only thing that happened. But number one, James Comey was now indicted by a grand jury for his 8647 post from last year. I should say 8647 from last year, days after another assassination attempt on President Trump. Much deserved. I don't need to play this, but James Comey, he's been indicted before. He weaseled out of it, and then we got him again. Now, this is going to be a tough one, but I believe the DOJ has been planning for this, and it's sending a message. It's sending a message that you can't do anything, no matter who you are, that is fomenting violence anymore. We're not going to stand for it. And it's more than a free speech issue, because we've always, as much as I support free speech, our First Amendment, we have always gone after people instigating violence. That's just not what we call protected speech. And it's the one exception, and it's frankly the one exception I'm okay with. And one of these that has been one of the big ones is you can't call to kill the president. And so 8647 is pretty clear. So they're going after him. Now, this might not hold up in a court, but as somebody else said, sometimes the process is the punishment. And if they don't have Comey dead to rights, they're just going to keep bringing him back over and over again until they finally nab him. But this is a great sign one way or the other. Because one way or the other, guys, Comey is going to be miserable for a while here. Okay? It's going to be miserable for a while. This is going to, and again, this shows like we're not. I mean, this guy's a former director of the FBI. I know it's not one of the names a lot of people want. I mean, people are like, it always comes back to Obama, Clinton, Bill Gates. It's like those are the three names everybody always throws out. I get it. Okay, it'd be great to see those. But don't act as if this isn't a big deal. Former FBI director is a huge deal, just like John Brennan is a huge deal. So that's another one we want. But Todd Blanche calling it out. And this is, listen to his description. He's pretty serious, and I don't know. I think they might actually pull this off.
That shows that Mr. Comey intended for President Trump to be harmed. And then secondarily, for critics who say, where does free speech...
I don't know what critics say that, especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at, and it's not, in my mind, a difficult line for one to cross over one way or the other. We cannot, you are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision in a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. And so whether there is a defense, as you just described, Maybe there is, but the government will have evidence. I am not going to talk about the evidence that we have. That's unfair to him. It's unfair to the prosecutors, but it's enough to say that the grand jury returned an indictment. I'm just
I'm collecting my thoughts here. I was going to say something, and I think I'm going to hold back on it for a bit here. But think about what this means. Okay, this isn't just about putting Comey on blast. This isn't just about catching Comey. This is also being able to gather evidence. Maybe go through his phone. Maybe go through his phone records, his computer. I mean, this is the kind of thing where more can come out. And I guarantee you, as usual, there's more to the plan than is on the surface here as Blanche goes through this. By the way, for those who doubted Blanche, I just get to, I feel like I'm already getting to say I told you so, especially as things ramp up. But, listen, again, I'm just not going to, I'm going to repeat it till I'm blue in the face over and over again. If you trust Trump and Trump's decisions, you're going to be right 99% of the time. And this is another example of that. Yeah. Blanche was a Democrat in the past. So was RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. And I don't hear anybody on the America First MAGA side complaining about those two. All right. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. Do you understand? Democrat is just a word now. People who stay on the Democrat side, okay, if they're still there, that means something. But those who left, it's Democrats 10, 15, 20 years ago, a whole bunch of them, they are not the Democrats of today. It's not the same thing. There were people who I grew up in California. I was surrounded by Democrats in the 90s, early 2000s. A lot of them were absolute patriots. We just disagreed on the size of the government and what it should be doing, basically. So that's old school Democrats. A lot of these people are that, and they saw what was happening, and they're like, Trump is the only way. Trump was a Democrat. My God. So just because somebody was a Democrat at one point does not mean they're not trustworthy. And this is so far, I know it's early. Okay. Maybe I'll be wrong. So far, this is happening exactly as I predicted, which was Bondi go out and now unleash the wolves. Okay. And that was all planned. It was pretty clear. Blanche announces 1 week or 2 weeks before Bondi's out that, hey, the DOJ is now fixed and up and running. We're fully staffed again. In other words, the purge is complete. Bondi is then removed or stepped down or however it went down. We'll find out. But then Blanche was put in. And a lot of people were like, oh, no, he's a Democrat. This guy's been undercutting Bondi the whole time. That is one of the psyops that's been going on. That Todd Blanche was actually the reason nothing was getting done at the DOJ. He was holding everything up. But now they've elevated him. By the way, he didn't have to be confirmed. So he gets to win this job. They elevate him. He just gets to be put in place. And now it's on. And it's not just Comey. Check it out. So this is a great post on this. But Fast and Furious. First arrest has arrived. James Comey is being indicted for threatening POTUS. This reveals at least 3 very important things. I totally agree with this. The top tiers of the DOJ have been cleared of Clinton, Obama, Biden loyalists. Otherwise, any intended charges against Comey would have been dismissed before they were brought to fruition. Fact check, true. Top tiers of the FBI have been cleared of Clinton, Obama, Biden loyalists. Otherwise, they would have prevented their former swamp-serving director from being indicted. Fact check, I believe that's true. And they would have ensured any evidence or witnesses against them would have disappeared. By the way, if you doubt this one, just wait till you see the clips I play of Dan Bongino later on his interview with Handy. The federal courts benches have been cleared of Obama, Clinton, Biden loyalists. This one I don't agree with as much, but he still has an interesting point. At least to the point justice can now be sought and achieved without having to deal with seditious, politically motivated judges. Otherwise, arresting Comey would have been pointless. Swamp judges would have ensured charges against Comey were thrown out, or he'd be immediately exonerated. There's hope for America's future, which I definitely agree with. And alongside justice we've all been waiting for is finally here. This is an interesting point. We're going to see how if they start getting actual cases tried in DC or in the Virginia area and we start getting fair judges, then this will be proven true. I haven't seen it yet, but he does have a point that why would they start going for it like this if they haven't dealt with some of this? So we're going to see. We're going to see. But look at this. Department of Justice leaves open going after Gretchen Whitmer. Listen to Blanche on this one.
Thank you, sir. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. Should we expect more indictments of this sort? For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with 8645 on her desk in the background. Is that the kind of thing you would pursue? And then just really quickly, should Comey expect to face more charges for his role in the Russia collusion investigations?
I'm not going to comment on other investigations involving Mr. Comey. He was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. That was dismissed on procedural grounds because of the judge's finding regarding the U.S. attorney. So that case is under appeal. As far as other investigations that are happening, it would not be appropriate or fair for me to comment on that time. As far as other incidents of threats against the President of the United States, those will be investigated.
Thank you, sir.
Those will be investigated. We've seen a lot of them. Here's when Whitmer put it out in 2020. It's 8647 right there. But we'll see. I mean, that's pretty small. You know, it might not be enough. But the point is, after the assassination attempt, they're making a statement. You come out and say this stuff, we'll make your life miserable, which is good. We want that. We do. I'm sorry. That is justice. It's not just playing a game. It's not just randomly as taking out people. You know, it's not picking up people praying at abortion clinics like the Biden administration did. No, this is much different. This is actually enforcing the law, something we haven't done in this country for a very long time, and people have learned there's no consequences. So introducing consequences again will start changing the national discourse, and it'll start making people shape up. So this is the beginning. Now look, This is continuing. This is directly from the DOJ, which is Todd Blanche. Former senior NIAID official indicted for concealing federal records during COVID-19 pandemic. These allegations represent profound abuse of trust at a time when the American people need it most during the height of a global pandemic, said Todd Blanche is alleging the indictment. Dr. Morens and his co-conspirators deliberately concealed information, falsified records, and attempt to suppress alternative theories regarding the origins of COVID-19. Government officials have a solemn duty to provide honest, well-grounded facts and advice in service of the public interest, not to advance their own personal or ideological agendas. Listen, if this isn't the setup to move up to Fauci, I don't know what is. I don't. Like, what? How much more obvious can you be? This guy was Fauci's assistant, and it says, and co-conspirators. You think Fauci wasn't a part of this? It's happening, guys. We're starting. The ball is starting to roll. It's starting to roll. And you start at the smaller ones. You don't go after the big dog first because you want to build the case, because getting the big dog and making absolutely sure you can nail him down, that sends the bigger message. Because when you can take out the big dogs, everybody pays attention. So this is the beginning of working the way up. And we can no longer say, oh, no arrests. This is indictments lead to arrests. This is what it's all about. It says, Kash Patel himself writes, weaponization of the USG by its senior members in a time of global pandemic entrusted to protect us. They violated that trust in the law, destroyed records public had every right to see. They covered up and got caught by the FBI and the Justice Department. That psyop against Kash makes more sense every day, doesn't it? More and more sense every day. Why they try to take out Kash. Hey, Alex Jones, where are you?
Oh, Kash Patel, my man, Kevin Surfin, he's on tonight, and he's telling me Kash Patel is going to be arrested, or going to be laid off tonight. He will be gone, just like Pam Bondi, tonight. This is April 2nd, and I've been wrong now for 4 weeks.
This is, again, if you're still watching Alex Jones, what's wrong with you? Unless you're watching it for the entertainment value and maybe to share in a drinking game with him, which he's always going to beat you. But it keeps going. It keeps going. Look at this. FBI and HSI agents are currently raiding 22 locations in Minneapolis, Minnesota area in relation to ongoing federal fraud investigations, largely Somali-linked businesses, including the infamous Quality Learning Center. All of this is today. Comey, COVID guys, fraudsters in Minnesota, the FBI involved in all of it. Kash Patel, Todd Blanche are just doing the work now. It's, I don't think it's any coincidence. It's all one day. This is a message, and it's all happening while the king's here. Are you kidding me? You can't make this stuff up. And look at this. The SPLC disclosed today that its former informant, a member of National Alliance and worked for SPLC for 20 years, has now flipped and is a witness for the DOJ. Oh, that's interesting. Getting the informants in, and they're turning. SPLC is screwed. This is what losers do. Accusing this informant of being biased. Reasons are redacted. Wow. SPLC, I think, was the bomb that told us it's starting. Last week, SPLC just shook DC to its core. I know it wasn't a big enough name, big enough news for the average person to catch on, but for those paying attention, you could tell that was like dropping a nuclear bomb at the beginning of the fight for justice. That was the storming Normandy and just being like, we're here now. We're here. Get ready. As this is all starting to accumulate. DOJ suing Cloudera for rigging high-paying tech jobs against American workers. We're just knocking out all these leftists, all these woke companies, all these fraudulent areas where they're money laundering. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They created a fake internal email that bounced every U.S. applicant's resume, then claimed no qualified Americans applied to fast-track foreign visa holders for green cards. Just another part of the scam to get more foreigners here and replace Americans. The great replacement theory. Harmy Dillon, man, what a stud she is. She's incredible. If Todd doesn't get nominated or get confirmed to stay on as AG, I hope they move her up. She's unbelievable. This is just great stuff. Now, so all this going on now, let's just listen to Dan Bongino did an excellent interview with Sean Hannity, and I found some of the best clips. And I want you guys to listen, because he really is going to break down why, at least one of the main reasons it's taken so long to get this momentum going. And I got to say that it's exactly what we've been saying on this show. It's exactly the fact that we had to wait for it all to be cleared up. But here's Bongino talking about 2 FBIs when he got there.
There were 2 FBIs trying to help you solve the A, B, and C problems, and that's FBI 1 and FBI 2. Like, there's 2 FBI? Yes, there were 2 FBIs. There was the FBI of, like, bust your ass, VCAC agents, violent crimes against children, white-collar agents, violent crime fugitive task force. And some of these guys, I was just honored to be in the room. They were like, we have this TFO, task force officer down in Miami. This guy, his first name is Joe, I won't say his last name. This guy's been on the job 38 years. You know how many violent criminals are off the street because of this guy and the agents he works with? I mean, he's a TFO, but the agents were like that too. And then you had this other FBI, which was populated with, to say, unfortunately, snakes as being nice. And here's the problem, Sean. It wasn't always obvious which FBI they were in. So you're trying to solve like a level A problem, which has like no solution. There's a shitty solution and a shittier one. And I got to tell you, it's almost like a coin toss, because either way, someone's going to get hurt. Okay. And you're trying to figure this out, and you're asking someone for advice. You've only been there a couple weeks, and you don't know if that person is part of the good FBI or the bad FBI.
That's a crazy story. Think about that. Legitimately, the FBI was two institutions. And this is why, there was a lot of talk going in that Cash just needs to burn the entire FBI to the ground, get rid of the entire FBI. Well, now we're seeing how effective the FBI is when it's got good people in it and it's being run the right way. So that was another psyop to get us to go full anarchist, full libertarian, and actually hurt ourselves. And when you think about it, the whole idea of get in there and just clear it out and destroy the FBI, that's a way they avoid justice. And that's a way they all get off scot-free, because the FBI is being shown to be what it always was meant to be, the chief federal law investigation unit and arresters of our nation. And yes, it can be used for evil. We've seen that. But again, looking forward with the internet the way it is, with, because once this freedom spreads and it becomes more and more, we become more decentralized as people, because crypto is making that more possible for us with finances. The internet's making it more possible for us with business. It's just like we are becoming freer as we fight back against the government. And once we have somebody like Trump, and I believe J.D. Vance or Rubio after him, we get several years of the government being scaled back. Good luck encroaching it again, because it's going to get harder and harder. Look what happened after Trump's first term, which he didn't get nearly as much accomplished first term because he was fighting the Republican Party as well so much. But in the first term, Trump still undid almost the entire Obama agenda, which is huge. And when Biden got in, they couldn't get it forward. And then even with what they tried to do, it was so despicable that the country turned against it and brought Trump back in a wave. So it's harder and harder the further we get away from the old system for them to get their grips back in. And so we're rebuilding our institutions. Instead of dismantling them completely, we're fixing them. And I think that's going to be just better and better going forward. And I'm not a big government guy, but I also understand that there is a role for it. I'm not a libertarian. I believe, government can be used for good, but it needs to be limited, very limited. And right now we're starting to see that, but also we're currently in wartime because we're fighting back this system and ideologies that literally were going to destroy our country. So just like Lincoln, there's some exceptions I'll make for Trump that I might not make for another president in the future, if that makes sense. Because Lincoln did all kinds of stuff that would be called unconstitutional, suspending habeas corpus, imprisoning journalists, stuff like that. But in wartime, sometimes you gotta make the choices to fix the nation, to save the nation, just like the other side will make decisions to destroy the nation that are anti-constitutional. And sometimes you just got to know the season you're in. To save our country, sometimes you got to trust the leaders that we have. Here's more from the Bongino. I think I got 2 more clips I want to play that are just really interesting.
But listen, I will never be the same, and I'm being as serious as a stroke right now. Look, I'm scared, man. Like I know what I did, and I'm proud of my work, and I'm proud of what me and Cash accomplished in the past year. Beyond proud. I know what we did. I know what's coming. I know what I started. I know what I laid out, and I know it's all, you saw a lot of these cases coming out over the past few days even. But don't think for a second that I don't think every day, and this is what's really sad, and this is why I know, and I never thought this after reading that enough Friday night, that they're going to come for me. And listen, man, it's not a sob story. I knew what I was getting into. But it happened to the president, and he went through just the worst destruction of his civil liberties I've ever seen. But I say to my wife all the time, I know, Sean, I can look you in the face as a friend, tell you and your millions of viewers and listeners, I promise you everything I did with a dotted I and a crossed T. I brought in my own attorney from the outside. It's
pretty crazy just hearing him talk about how the fear of the impacts he did. But I want to end on this one where he talks about the changes they made and what he believes is going to happen as a result going forward.
We have made enough dramatic changes. We put a ton of new FISA rules in place. I mean, Cash and I were on FISA probably 3-4 times a week in special meetings just for that. I brought in a lawyer just for FISA to go over that stuff. We put in new guardrails, new penalties. We reorganized the place so that intel was more manageable and you couldn't like hide pockets of intel. You're not going to be able to hide the PP tape now. They're going to have to change what we did, which is going to create a paper trail that I'm warning them, like when they say it changes back to us again, we're going to find again. So good luck. I'm not telling you they're not going to do it. Obviously, I'm worried about it, but I'm just telling you, we did a massive amount of change. And I think you're going to see, and I said it on my show, so I feel free telling you how, we're not done. I mean, that Comey indictment, if you think that was the end, like you're out of your mind. We have made enough.
If you think that's the end, you're out of your mind. I love that. I love that. And this is the beginning. And again, Bongino, I mean, it's very open. And I appreciate it because this is what it looked like when he was leaving in January, that he did a year and he was just there to help fix things up, to help Cash reform it. And now we're seeing the results. And it's pretty incredible. I got to admit, I mean, when you look at murder being down 20% year over year, overall crime in America, the lowest in 100+ years, they've been doing incredible stuff. And now we're starting to see some of the bigger names go down. And I think it's all lining up for this. Now, this is excellent post from Brian Cates. So I want to just go through this real quick. Says, who's been telling you for several months the grand conspiracy investigation going public now with the admission of grand juries in Fort Pierce, Florida involves. So this is everything involved in this grand conspiracy investigation that he's uncovered. Uranium One, Clinton email scandal, DNC email scandal, murder Seth Rich, fake CrowdStrike report to blame Russia, manufacture of Russiagate, hoax-based criminal counterintelligence investigations of Trump, hoax-based Ukraine impeachment, launch of COVID pandemic to get them to 20 million fake mail-in ballots, fake mail-in ballot scheme and other election frauds in 2020, massively coordinated censorship campaigns to prevent discussion of COVID, Hunter laptop, stolen election, J6, massively coordinated targeting of Trump and J6 people for sustained illegally predicated lawfare and prosecution, several assassination attempts, auto-pen presidency of Joe Biden or whoever that was, complete with fake pardons, fake appointments, executive actions, massively coordinated assault on the country by completely reopening the border, raiding Trump's home to seize classified documents while claiming they've been reclassified. I'll keep going. I'll stop there. The scope of it. When you realize most of the key players running the grand conspiracy are not American, they don't live here. City of London. Many of the elements of the grand conspiracy are therefore acts of war. That changes the game, by the way, because that means you can bring in the military tribunals. Any American willingly taking money to carry out the different elements of grand conspiracy against their fellow citizens of the country are therefore engaging in treason and acts of treason. This may start with federal grand juries. It won't stay there. I don't know how far we'll go on this, but I can tell you one way or the other, stuff's going to come out. And again, I don't think anybody's going to escape justice. But prepare yourselves, because in some instances, it might look a little bit different than what you expect. Some people just might completely lose their wealth. Others might be put on house arrest and they just kind of disappear. You don't know what it'll look like in every situation, but this is the kind of deal where, and what we're seeing with these arrests and how it's starting to ramp up and what Tulsi's been unleashing for the last year, she's been declassifying, and Trump is desire to make all this happen. Remember, he's doing this amidst the fact that judges are fighting against him. His own Senate won't get things passed. Many of the Republicans are still against him on the inside. He's doing with all that. So it's a little slow sometimes. But with his resolve, once City of London is broken, or at least severely weakened because of Iran, when all these people are no longer getting paid by City of London, the resources dry up, their ability to protect each other dries up, you better believe there's going to be a lot of them turning on each other. The fact this is all ramping up now is not coincidental, friends. As Iran is being choked out, as the strait is blocked off and Trump has decided this is working so well, I'm going to stay here. Europe is on the verge of collapse because of their energy is spiking like crazy, and they're no longer getting they're not getting as many exports from China. China's being weakened. I mean, there's a lot of issues going on in Europe right now. They are getting severely weakened. And that's where all this ties into. Between that, some of them are China, but most of it's City of London. I got to tell you that the fact that all that's happening abroad because of Iran and what Trump's doing with the strait, all that weakness is starting to spread. And now, as that weakness, right as it's really settling in and Iran is really getting crippled, that's when Trump decides to have this DOJ just start going ham and getting all this stuff out there. That's not coincidence, folks. That's putting on a full court press and striking them when they're weaker and they don't have much defense against it. That's what we want to see. And it's going to be very interesting going forward how that turns out. And I just saw this graphic today. I had to show you guys. But look at the Clinton Foundation, how it dropped off after she lost the election. They never thought she'd lose. And now they're facing judgment for all this. You better believe they're freaking out. They're freaking out over Comey. They're freaking out over the COVID stuff. They're really freaking out over SPLC. This is, they can see the walls are closing in on them. And Kash Patel, if you guys remember this clip from the other day, I'm going to play it again just to remind you what Kash saying what's coming.
I lived through it, and the media came at me then, too. That just shows you that when you're over the target, you keep pummeling the target because the media is going to try and pummel you. We are not going to take this and have not taken this laying down. We did already indict former Director Comey, and that's going through the judicial process. But we also, at this FBI, even though we uncovered what we uncovered back in the House Intel days, I had to come in here and find rooms that they hid from the world. I had to come in here and find access on our computer systems in restricted and prohibited case files that they purposely put in places for no one to see and find. We have found all this information. We are working with our Department of Justice partners, and I am never going to let this go because they not only have personally attacked the presidency of the United States and President Trump, but they tried to thwart our elections and rig the entire system. And that is not something that is going to stop on it. That is not something I'm going to allow on my watch. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests. And it's coming, and I promise you, it's coming soon.
Well, Kash, hold on, because
I promise you it's coming soon. Promise you there's going to be arrests. So all of you guys who are waiting, aren't you glad I told you to be patient? Because it's happening. We're just in the beginning of it. But today, if nothing else, should give you a lot of confidence that you can actually finally trust that these guys are going to get it done. This summer is going to be spicy. Happy 250th birthday, America. All right. Next segment, I'm going to get to the king here and what Trump's been doing there. And then we're going to get to some of the latest numbers that came out with polls that has a lot of people freaking out. But let me get into the chat, say hey to you guys, make sure I'm not missing anybody's super chat or tagging me on something. But please take a second if you're enjoying the show, like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys' support. And if you really like it and you want more, try out the membership. You can support the channel there. But you do get a free month to test it first. So click in the description, click the Patreon link, get that free month, and see if you like the Discord, where the community really thrives in the Discord. And then if you like the members only content, you can try it out there. Okay. Let's I thought I saw one super chat I want to make sure I hit up, as I cannot let somebody have paid something and then not get shouted out here. So $2 from Dr. No says they got Capone for tax evasion. Just saying. I know, if there's a will, there's a way. They'll figure it out. I completely believe that. And thank you for supporting the channel, Doc. No. All right, let's see here. Did I miss anything? You guys just having a good time talking to each other. I love it. That's awesome. Get along. Government's like a strong spice. A little can be fantastic. Too much can spoil a dish. That's great. That is great. Brent says we're in the hardest soft war that's ever been. I love that. I mean, definitely within our borders, but yeah, I think right now that's probably an accurate assessment. You guys debating the Civil War. That's fun. Dave Ricard says he was talking about first Comey indictment. The one from today interview was recorded last week. Bongino? Yeah, but I think it was released today, correct? I believe it's the first I've seen it. But this stuff about the FBI was what I wanted to share. As you guys, listen, the deep state, a big part of it is the bureaucracy. And that is all the employees, the people who've been put into positions for decades, over the course of decades. So it's like people who have worked for Clinton, still working at the DOJ, obviously people who work for Obama. And Obama fired all kinds of conservatives and replaced them with his people, his lawyers. And so those people, Trump wasn't able to get rid of a lot of them in his first term because his own cabinet secretaries, half of them were rebelling against him. Trump, when he came in, he was able to get a lot done. The first term was still one of the best first terms the president's had, but he didn't know exactly who all was deep state and who wasn't. A lot of the first term was about exposing who all was there. Then we had 4 years for more exposure and for the American people to be woken up more and for Trump to prepare for this term, the real attack. He found out who was loyal. He found out who was truly MAGA, found out who the true believers were, and it was time. It was time to go for it, and that's what we're seeing now. And that's why so much more is happening. But one of those things was the first year was about getting the Department of Justice in order and building cases, I believe. I mean, you have Tulsi gathering up all this information. So, had a lot to do. Isaac said, looked into your video about City of London last night. Crazy stuff. Roman origin was shocking. Wasn't it, though? Yeah, City of London's been around since Roman times. It is a wild story. So, I will be watching Wilson versus Owen. I can't stand Owen, but Andrew and Rachel Wilson are fascinating people. I agree with them on almost everything. I don't always like Andrew's style. He rubs me wrong sometimes, but I do believe he's a patriot, and I love Trump's patience with the royal pain in the ass promoting Ukraine as other pet issues. I know Trump has yet to deliver the statement. I can't wait. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to get into the Kings being here next. It's interesting. Bill Clinton helped China bend the rules, enter the WTO after pushing the PNTR with China Act for 8 years. Reagan's era finished the USSR. Bill turned China into something worse than the USSR. I mean, maybe. I think that's debatable, but I do understand what you're saying. China has not ever gotten to the same kind of power as the USSR did at its peak. I'll say that. It's a different animal. It is. And what we found is that China's actually much weaker than we thought. So, all right, let's get into the king, shall we? A lot of interesting stuff here. Actually, that is, I'm going to end with that. So, all right. A lot of hilarity ensued today with King Charles being in Washington, D.C. And the White House, just this social account, and Trump himself could not help but constantly troll the king. And in some ways, it almost looked like a little bit of a humiliation ritual, because while Trump was being very nice to Charles in his face, and Charles is, the pomp and circumstance, and they're at the dinner tonight, and he went and spoke to the Congress, said some iffy things, but Trump continued to be very, very nice to him, and how he addressed it, never called him out. But meanwhile, on social media, we get stuff like this, whereas this morning, the British are coming. Well, you could say that's just a funny, of course the Brits are here. But anybody who knows history knows this is a callback to Paul Revere alerting America to the enemy being here. and prepare yourselves, be ready, keep your eyes open. So it's funny, but I also think, knowing how they run the social media, knowing how they are always putting comms out there, I just think there's more to it. And one of the reasons is this stuff was happening all day. White House again, the open eyes, shock and awe from Trump's post about how he's the 15th cousin of King Charles. And he says, wow, that's nice. I've always wanted to live in Buckingham Palace. I'll talk to the king and queen about this in a few minutes. Now, again, this is Trump equating himself to royalty. You could look at this as Trump being either just quirky funny, or, as Trump so often does, putting himself in the place of power over someone else. Maybe it's my turn to go to assume the throne. Especially when you get a post like this. 2 kings next to each other. Now this got to make the left go crazy, the no kings rallies. But again, there's everywhere else where Charles goes. And this has been going on for centuries. But everywhere else the British monarchy goes, they're treated with an air of speciality, an air of awe. The king is here. It's almost like even though we have our own system, we still act as if that means something to us, other than the fact he's just another dignitary from, there's a special reverence. But that's not what it all is happening here. This is just nonstop. It's a mockery. It's saying like, we're on the same footing as you. We're not going to treat you differently. And that's not what's happened in the past. So it's important to note this. It's small stuff. It's funny, but I guarantee you there's more to it, especially when Trump does this. Has the king walking amongst our Revolutionary Guard soldiers in our getup. Those are not redcoats, folks. I mean, how hilarious is that? Trump just constantly reminding him of our 250th anniversary of freedom from them. That is hilarious. And way over the top that Charles had to go through all of that. And then we get this stuff, which is just wild. So the Trump and Melania, they put together this station with the king, and it involved bees and honey. And a bee landed on Trump, and instead of just, freaking out, flicking it away, or stinging him, he just held it in his hands, and you can see he's amused while the others are freaked out. What an odd thing to happen. Obviously, Trump and them couldn't have staged this. This is a bee that landed on him. You can watch the video. But the fact that this all happens is so strange. And then the White House puts up a poster as Donald J. Trump as the beekeeper, which was a Jason Statham movie from a few years back. And the beekeeper was all about fraud in the markets and politics and all this other stuff. And I never saw the full movie. I only saw parts of it, but I know what it was about. And everybody in the community was very excited when it came out, and about like it's an exposure type movie. And then you have Trump as the beekeeper. These are wild little comms things if you're paying attention. Most people aren't, or most people would have just laughed. But there's a lot going on in all these posts. A lot of symbolism, especially considering the king is here. Just lighten it up like this. This is very interesting stuff. And this is where, this is where you're allowed to put on your conspiracy hats. Because this is, I got to say, this is pretty clearly comms. By the way, do they not have like the smartest social media team? It's just crazy how quick they are. So somebody posted this. With the sudden focus on bees, is Trump's telling us they're captured or captive now? B in the middle of the Freemasonry sign. See, Freemasonry. One of the most prominent modern uses. The beehive is an emblem of industry and the Master Mason degree. teaching that Masons, like bees, should work diligently for the betterment of the lodge and society without contention. It draws from ancient roots, including Egyptian ideas of an obedient people under a ruler, originally seen as a king, now understood as a queen bee. Some interpretations link it to the lodge itself as a hive of builders or alchemical laboratory for spiritual transmutation. That's actually from Freemason.com. Interesting. Obviously, Freemasons are an extension, a club, a deep state club attached to all this, where not everybody who's ever been a Mason is deep state. That's insane. Most of them barely ever move up. Most of them just treat it as like a Rotary Club. But there are plenty enough who go deeper and into these things. I've met these people. They're very interesting people. Some of them are nth degree Masons way up there. And that's where it starts getting strange. But again, it is weird because there's a lot of ties, Freemasonry and City of London, UK. So now you get here. I mean, it's weird. And sometimes people are doing the communication and sometimes God's speaking. And that's one of those issues where it's like a bee landing on Trump. Was that God giving us a sign? I don't know, but it's worth paying attention to. Now, Trump, after this is Trump tonight after the speech that the king gave at Congress, which I'll play a couple of clips here in a minute. But Trump, this is funny. Listen to what Trump had to say about the speech.
I want to congratulate Charles on having made a fantastic speech today at Congress. He got the Democrats to stand. I've never been able to do that. I couldn't believe it. They liked him more than they've ever liked any Republican or Democrat, actually. So I just want to thank you and congratulations.
That's kind of a shot. That's Trump comparing him to his enemies, that my enemies love you more than anybody else. Isn't that, if you pick up on that, that's exactly how I read it when Trump said it. But it was also hilarious the way Trump brings it down as always. But here you see, look at their faces as they're watching Charles. This is just goofy how much they are just adoring this man. This is, I've never seen Democrats so happy, except for maybe when they're killing a baby or something. This is about as happy as Democrats get, and all in a speech that really didn't have that much to it, except for asking for Ukraine and taking shots at Trump with the separation of powers. And I gotta say, it kind of read to me as the last hurrah for the king, his last attempt at being desperate and being like, I wish you guys would help us, but we know you're not going to. But here, we'll listen for a sec.
The founding fathers were bold and imaginative rebels with a cause. 250 years ago, or as we say in the United Kingdom, just the other day, they declared independence. By balancing contending forces and drawing strength into diversity, they united 13 disparate colonies to forge a nation on the revolutionary idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They carried with them and carried forward the great inheritance of the British Enlightenment, as well as the ideals which had an even deeper history in English common law and Magna Carta.
I guarantee you that was a Democrat.
These roots run deep, and they are still vital. Our Declaration of Rights of 1689 was not only the foundation of our constitutional monarchy, but also provided the source of so many of the principles reiterated, often verbatim, in the American Bill of Rights of 1791.
Anyways, he goes on and on. It's all of basically an idea of like, hey, don't forget the U.S. is our child. It's kind of the idea. But he went on to beg for money for Ukraine. The Democrats, and this is hilarious, it's going around because they were all no kings, and now they're cheering for the king.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Majesty Charles III.
The Democrats leapt to their feet. You see that? The Republicans a little slower to move there, but it's hilarious, just the hypocrisy. But this is why Trump allows this stuff. He allows it so you can see it, so you can see the hypocrisy. I believe that this whole trip is kind of like a humiliation ritual. Charles is still, obviously playing the role where he's got to ask for that Ukraine money. He's got to talk about the greatness of Britain. And, because he can't just be public like we're done, we've given in. But at the end, tonight, he did this. And this is why I think that the submission might be complete. So this is the end where he gives Trump a gift. Watch this.
And speaking of submarine alliances,
this was tonight's
there
dinner.
was one particular AUKUS predecessor launched from a UK shipyard in 1944 that served for the majority of her life attached to the 4th Submarine Squadron in Australia, playing a critical role during the war in the Pacific. Her name? HMS Trump. So tonight, Mr. President,
Trump
I'm
loves that.
delighted to present to you, as a personal gift, the original bell which hung on the conning tower of your valiant namesake. May it stand as a testimony to our nation's shared history and shining future. And should you ever need to get hold of us, or just give us a ring.
So look at this. This is really interesting. The HMS Trump was a British T-class submarine launched in 1944, featured a specific badge typical of Royal Navy vessels, which included a depiction of a playing card, the Ace of Spade, often interpreted as a trump card. What an interesting gift. You also know that the Navy traditionally was the great power of the British Empire. It's because of their Navy, which was the greatest in world history for so long, that they were able to take over so much and become the largest empire ever, even bigger than the Roman Empire in many ways. That the Brits were huge, and it was all because of their Navy. And now they barely have a Navy. The nation has fallen so far. However, giving Trump something from their Navy, from one of their greatest ships, that was also has a badge on it called a trump card. I just, to me, guys, that sounds like that looks like a form of capitulation. Like, we are honoring you in such a way. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The question is this: did Charles surrender and say remain an enemy, or did he surrender in a way that's like, I also want to be free of City of London? I don't know. But what I do believe has happened, and is what has been ongoing for some time, is Britain breaking off of us. And this, to me, says that Charles has been put into place. He's on board. Think about all that think about all that entailed, okay, of this trip. It's the 250th anniversary of our nation when we broke free of England, of their British Empire. We're the only nation, the only colony that fought back and won. We did it. We were the only, in that stretch of time, we're the only one who ever defeated their military. Okay, so it is a stain and a shame to the UK that we pulled this off. Ever since then, they have craved us because of our land, because of where we live, this beautiful promised land nation we've been given with all the resources and the massive amount of land. We were the prized possession. They lost us, and we became more powerful than they ever were. That is a sting. So they've embedded in us. They've been trying to take us back, all that. And we just now, after it's been 19 years since the king or queen visited us, they come to our nation on the 250th anniversary. Trump trolls him and has the White House trolling the whole time behind the scenes. I mean, this one, again, this is like, not that one, the guards. The craziest thing to me, just having everybody in their garb as our military that won the battles or that won the war against them. Trump puts them through all this, kind of good-natured ribbing, but also it's all symbolic. It's like, you're here because we won. We're better than you. And why would he show up for this? Before Trump went to him last year, Trump went to them in their first term, went to the Queen. Why show up for this unless you're here to deliver the final, okay, we give in. You did it. There was a lot of talk over the weekend that Charles was thinking about not coming after the assassination attempt, and it didn't work. And then nobody got hit, and so all of a sudden it was safe enough to come back. Was that the last attempt? I don't know. Was that City of London trying to stop the king from coming here? I don't know. These are things we might never know. But I will tell you, there's a lot of things that are happening all at once, and I don't believe in coincidences. We don't have all the details. We may never have all the details, but one thing I know for sure is that whether he came to surrender or not, whether Trump and them were giving us signal or not, it's very clear from everything else we've talked about, Iran, the arrests happening all today, the surviving the assassination attempt again, we're winning. And the UK, City of London, is weaker than ever, and it's only going to continue. Last week, a House of Lords member delivered a report, and in the report, it said that if the U.S. continues pulling out, we can't survive our way of life. In other words, we have to redo everything. And I guarantee you that report was not just the UK. That was City of London speaking. They're winning. Trump's played the Trump card, and we're just watching it play out, in my opinion. So, all right, guys. If you like what I'm saying, if you're enjoying the show, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching. And you know what? I actually want to share a couple other things. So let me show a couple other things real quick before we go that I lost for a second there. Charles said this today: it's in faith in the triumph of light over darkness I found confirmed countless times. And then that's another Q Delta, April 28th, 2020. Dark to light. That's interesting. Triumph of light over darkness. Just an interesting thing to say, right? So, and then just a reminder, as the City of London is crumbling, right here, what happened in Saudi Arabia will happen here, Asia, and the EU. Keep digging, keep organizing info, graphics. God bless. Hillary in Saudi Arabia, Snow White, Godfather. And we just have a lot of interesting stuff. I recommend you guys go through these feeds. But a lot of interesting deltas and stuff going on with London, City of London, how this breaking down. Brian Cates is one of the best to follow on this. So I recommend checking all that out. And MJ Truth Ultra, again, he sharing this, says King Charles presents Trump with the original bell, evoking a Trump card. So just stuff to think about, just to watch and, do your own research as well. But I tell you, looks good for us. Okay. Last thing I'm going to get into, I want to show you guys some of the crazy numbers that came out today, poll numbers that are just making everybody freak out, but we'll get to that in a second. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Looks like mods are doing a great job in the chat tonight. I haven't seen any trolls. That's awesome. Let's see here. Everybody's just dumping on Charles. It's hilarious. We got a lot of true Americans in here. Taya says, seriously, Charles' speech was so woke he was signaling to Congress. Yeah. I mean, the Ukraine stuff was crazy, but they need Ukraine to keep going. They need that bad. Trump should have said, well, I'm glad the bell works because the phone did not. Little hit at Keir Starmer. Seth says, what if instead of surrendering, the crown switched sides to America, brought the crown land with him? I just don't see that ever happening. And I also don't think Trump wants that to happen. I think Trump wants us all to become sovereign again and deal with each other as sovereign and respectable nations. But that is an interesting theory. But, for all the talk of empire that Trump's bringing back the American empire, I think the only way Trump wants to build an empire is financially. I think land-wise, he just wants to make sure we're policing our hemisphere and wherever our financial interests are, which is the straits across the world, the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait by Malaysia, all Panama Canal. He wants to make sure that our vested financial interests are protected, and then that we have no enemies in the Western Hemisphere. Which, Monroe or Donroe Doctrine, what they call it now. That's all Trump's interested in as far as I can see. I haven't seen Trump show any interest in taking over more land and making it American, either territory or states. So, I don't see that happening, but it is an interesting theory. I'm not saying it's impossible. I would just have to be proven wrong and see some interesting evidence to believe it. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for sure. Brent says these people will burn down the world before they give up and give in. I don't think so. I think you overestimate how cowardly these people are when they actually see. These people have never known discomfort. Never. These people were raised in comfort, raised in wealth, and they've gotten to play checkers and chess with real people their whole lives and sit as overlords of us all. They've never known true discomfort. So when they're faced with losing it all, that terrifies them. That's they don't know what it's like to live without it. And so, suffering is it's relative. Everybody handles suffering differently based on what you've been raised and how your life goes. So I think I don't agree with you there. I do think they'll gladly let others burn themselves down, like Iran, who is a proxy state. They're like, cool, you guys, we're okay if you die as long as you fight for this. But when it comes to themselves, I feel like more often than not they'll cave. I really do. Planman says Q got hijacked after 2018. I just completely disagree with you. I know why you say that, but in the research I've done, I just don't think that makes sense. Wets love Sousa. Democrats, hypocrites say no kings, but they seem to be more in tune with this king than our own republic. It's true. Why do you think? They get money. They get paid. They're all British assets. They're all MI6 assets. So, Crazy. Manifest Destiny says, I'm all for American imperialism. How are you now? Melania was stunning. She's always stunning. She's a classy woman. We need a filling station in Greenland for warships. Absolutely. I believe we're working on it right now. I do. Kevin Nicholson says battle of Swear. I disagree with you, sir. I think you, I don't think you understand the full, what Jesus truly accomplished there, but that's okay. We can debate it another time. Says it's exactly what's going on. Honestly, think that Trump will take ownership of the Commonwealth and Caribbean. I just don't see America getting control of Australia, New Zealand, Canada. I just don't see that happening. We might get some of the islands that technically are, our territories, but I just don't see the rest. Listen, I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to being wrong. Dems don't realize Obama's the king on the chessboard. Well, he's definitely a chess piece. But yeah, he's not the king. Obama is a Manchurian candidate used by so many others, but he's up there for sure. He definitely runs his area, who is the Democrat Party. that's his responsibility. Okay, let's get into these. Let's get into election stuff. So, looking ahead, we got a midterm year. This is going to be a massive midterm year, maybe the most expensive midterm year ever, most paid attention to midterms ever, because the Democrats are thoroughly invested in trying to slow down Trump, and the Republicans are invested in keeping it, at least most Republicans, or MAGA is. Good news today, though. Virginia suffered another loss. The state Supreme Court refused Attorney General's Jay Jones' demand the redistricting process be allowed to continue while being litigated. Lower court's order halted the process stance. So Virginia, they redistricted the other night in an election. It was ruled unconstitutional by a judge and halted. They just held up that halt, the Supreme Court, but they have not ruled on it yet. So in the meantime, we're still waiting to see what happens. But this is a hopeful sign that the Virginia Supreme Court might actually overturn this election, and Virginia will not be allowed to redistrict, which would be a absolutely massive blow to the Democrats. In fact, it's such a big deal. Polls are now coming out where if Virginia's map does not get to be redrawn, the Republicans are up now 6 seats in races across the country. And toss-ups is now up to 15. In other words, as of right now, the Republicans are now favored to win the House again. That's huge. Also, even if the Virginia map goes through, Florida can redistrict, and it might even it out, which would make these numbers remain the same. So this is not over. No dooming, no getting to the point of like, oh, can't win the midterms, it's all over. No, this fight, and guess what? Trump hasn't even begun to fight. Today was an excellent day for MAGA. It's rejuvenating kind of day. As Iran ends, it'll be even more rejuvenating. The Republicans have a 6-1 fundraising advantage right now, $600 million more than the Democrats. That's going to be money deployed. The campaigning hasn't even started yet. The economy hasn't started to come back yet from all the tax returns and deregulating. That should happen in the next couple of months. The arrests, which will fire up MAGA, are just now starting. I'm telling you guys, this whole idea of a blue wave, Trump, if things continue the trend they're going right now, we're going to win the midterms. The energy is going to come back to MAGA. The influencers, they all shot their load, and they shot too soon, because now they're all tuned out now. The shock is over. The people who are paying attention to them have just, they're locked in, but they also didn't pull anybody away from MAGA. They're the ones losing viewers now. They went too early. If they were going to do all assets deployed like that, they should have waited till October if they cared about the midterms. But they had to do it for Iran, and now there's no influencers left who can turn anybody. Nobody's going to listen to Tucker again about turning away from Trump, or Alex Jones, or Megyn Kelly, or Candace Owens. Nobody cares anymore. They already said their piece. The shock was there. The wow, what happened? What's happening is there. The people who decided to follow that way went, which was barely anybody. everybody else is now tuning them out. It's beautiful. They screwed up, and we're already starting to bounce back. The Senate is now back in Republicans' hands because a tie, it goes to Republicans because of J.D. Vance is a tiebreaker. So likely voters, Republicans have bounced back 2 points, which is what matters, way more than registered voters. So this is all evening out. The trend is heading in the right direction. The shock of Iran, the shock of the what all went down in Minnesota in February, it's all worn off. It's all worn off. And now they're going to have to try some new psyops, but they're going to be doing it as Trump is getting arrests done and going to be riding high soon, I believe soon in the next few weeks, over a massive win in Iran. And that'll coincide with gas prices going down, economy already starting to boom again. That's it's all of this is shaping up to the Democrats could definitely lose the midterms now, and their momentum has completely dried up because they didn't take advantage of the hits Trump and the Republicans took the last couple months. They didn't take advantage. They did not make themselves look any better. The people still hate the Democrats, and so as soon as the Republicans give them anything, people are going right back. I mean, look at this. Republicans have gone back up 6+ in the last month. That's huge. That is a huge shift. And I'm telling you, Democrats are freaking out. Excuse me. And while this is going on, the other thing is that all these psyops are starting to fail. Even Thomas Massie is now being called out by people like Laura Ingraham. That's huge. We've been calling out Massie here forever on my show because he's a total deep state op. And on our side, embedded in our side, libertarian. I tell you, those libertarians are almost always the ones in power anyways, not the regular guy that lives next to you and, has the don't tread on me flag on his lawn. That guy's fine. But I'm talking about the libertarians in power. They're almost always assets, and they're used to embed themselves in the Republican side of things and just gum up everything and never get anything done. But Laura calls it out. If Massey's a conservative, why is press rooting for him? And here's Lisa Kaczynski from Politico. Thomas Massey's facing his toughest re-election yet. It's not just because of Trump. Trump lit the fuse for local R's who long wanted Massey gone, now see their best chance to do it, but Massey could still win. Why do they care? Why do they care unless he is one of them? Oh, it's just an interesting story. Is it? There's a reason the Democrats want Massey back in. There's a reason he's funded by mostly Democrats, including money taken from Act Blue and other people who funded the squad. Yeah, the money tells you a lot. And then looking ahead, more people are waking up to this. I've been saying this for, good Lord, a year and a half. That in 2028, because of the demographic changes, the shifts, because of 4 years of Trump shoring up, securing our elections a little bit, and beating back Democrats, getting rid of illegals, that in 28 Vance would win by larger than Trump. Well, more people are starting to catch on to this. Harris is now the front runner to come back. I would still be shocked if she does, but Democrats don't like to reelect losers. But they might give her one more shot. This is a crazy poll. She's so far ahead, but it shows you how weak their field is. Right now, it's Harris, Newsom, Shapiro, who he has no chance in hell because he's a Jew, AOC, who's, that would be a fun debate, and J.B. Pritzker. Good luck. It's like all these people are pathetic and terrible. And so J.D., or Rubio, but it's probably going to be Vance. I mean, look at Vance's lead over Rubio. The whole Rubio thing is kind of faded. Vance is gaining again. And I think he's going to be a shoo-in for 2028 if he chooses to run. But Vance is going to kick any of these guys' asses. He's going to send them into the stratosphere. And we're going to get in with a larger majority in the House and Senate in 28, regardless of what happens this year in the midterms. But more people are starting to see it, and it's becoming obvious in my opinion. So, I don't like calling something this far out, but I'm telling you guys, this is about as obvious as it could be, which means it's like, I'd give it an 85% chance of happening, which is huge odds, huge favorite, Vance over anybody in that field. So guys, future's bright, because these are MAGA. This is MAGA Republicans. I mean, like Tucker, remember the PSYOP a few weeks ago that Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent would run and be a crazy good ticket? Tucker can't even get 4% in a poll. That's pathetic. Anyways, future's bright for MAGA. We're only going to keep winning. I'm telling you, the midterms could be a blip for the Democrats, but that's looking more unlikely by the day. All right, guys. If you like the content, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thank you for supporting the show. I see Lichgore with a $10 super chat, says the U.S. is the only country to take humankind to the stars. We have tech, money, and the will to do it. I love it, Lichgore. That's why I'm proud to be an American, man. And that's why the moon, shot, whatever you believe, even if you believe it was staged, it still brought a lot of patriotism back to the U.S. And so we do, man. We're the best, and we get to be proud of being the best again, which is excellent. Linda Goya says, I'm wondering about the Dems going too early. They did. They shot their load, man. Let's see what else they come up with. Dave says, don't get complacent. Never. Oh, Dave, come on. Me? You're saying that to me? I'm doing this show at midnight after working all day and taking care of my 6 kids and my wife, making dinner for my wife today and my whole family because my wife had to take my daughter to an appointment. I don't get complacent about politics. I will be here fighting like hell because I don't just want to win. I want to gain seats. I want to annihilate until every leftist Democrat is gone forever, until there's no leftism left in our country at all. I will fight until communism is. People say fear motivates. It can, but you know what actually motivates more than fear? Reward. Reward motivates more than fear. So it's actually good to talk about what good things can happen. And people get hungry for good things. You're much more likely to get out of bed to go earn a nice big paycheck than you are to go work for $7 an hour. So we will win, and we can win if we show up. And so I'm always going to talk from the hopeful standpoint, but please do not ever mistake that for complacency. That will never happen. Yeah, no more USAID money for the Democrats. Absolutely not. Redlegosaurus says blackpilling is how you give power to the forces trying to destroy what our ancestors built. Quote JD Vance. I love it. I played that clip not that long ago, and it's one of the best quotes of anybody in politics lately. So good. Everyone screwed it up, says all it up. So correct quicker than others. Be patient. No, they're. I don't know what you're talking about. I must be talking to somebody else. I'm sorry. Sierra says, what we need now is the left to keep going insane so the independents will turn on them and left voters. Well, when is the left not going insane? I don't think we got to worry about that. So I agree with you, but I also don't worry that it's not going to happen. Jay said, I don't think you heard me say, once you see a cannon, see it. I didn't say it today, did I? Well, I'll save it for next time. We'll double up. Oh, man. Can't wait for the lunacy on 4th of July. 4th of July is going to be off the rocker this year, especially if Iran's finished. Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. We still got time. We still got time. Massey's a dork. Massey's Code Pink donating to. I know. Listen, I love it. I have so many awake viewers. This is why I love the chat. This is why I love this community. You guys get it. You guys get it. Sure, some morons sometimes steal their way into the chat, but not most of you. You guys get it, and I love it. Because Massey is one of the biggest ones who just divides us. He dupes so many people. And so I love that you guys are awake to it. It's so good. They didn't whack Massey's wife. I hope you're joking. They didn't whack him. He sure found a replacement quick. I don't think she was whacked. Harris will probably have an accent because Hillary's already placed an order to the suicide hotline. I don't think they're gonna. This is, I have a different theory on Harris. You guys want to hear it? Well, you have to because it's my show. But I have a theory on Harris that this woman is so vacuous. Her soul is so sold out that they know they can control her to do anything they want. She's a moron. She only cares about power and popularity, and she can be handled. She's obviously been groomed to do this. She has no business being up here. She's an absolute idiot. But she's also slept her way to the top everywhere she's been. Look at her California record. Old Willie Brown. She slept her way to the top. She'll do whatever it takes to get power. And so I think the powers that be are part of pushing this. I don't think this is organic by the voters of the Democratic Party. I don't think the voters have anybody they like that much. And so the voters, the regular people, are just like, oh, yeah, Harris. Okay, well, she almost beat Trump. Yeah, we'll try again, I guess. We don't really like the others that much. But the powers that be are pushing her like crazy because they know she will do anything they want her to do. And so that's my personal theory of why they're pushing her back to the top. But we'll see if I'm right. If she makes it through the primaries, I'd say I'm right. But we have a ways to go for that. Give us a Harris Newsom ticket. Oh my God, that would be hilarious. Newsom has such a terrible record in California. Even the Democrats there hate him. So I don't see it happening. Diana writes, your addiction to politics is rubbing off. Fascinating. It's the most entertaining thing on TV because it's real world events and it's actually very fun. Well, when we're winning. It sucks when we're losing, but we still can always laugh at the left. So there's always something fun about it. But it's, it's the only, listen, think about it this way. What were we always told what was rude to talk about? Don't talk about politics or religion, right? Well, those are the only things that matter. Well, they're not the only things that matter. I'm being funny. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but they are some of the things that matter the most in the world. What matters, other than family? What matters more than how you think about God and his effects on your life and how it affects your life, and then how that ideology should shape how you vote and participate in your nation? Other than family, what matters more than those things? And yet we were all taught not to talk about it. No, I'm like, let's talk about it all the time. That's all I want to talk about. Those are the most exciting and interesting things. And I want to indoctrinate all the children to think correctly. So, but yes, thank you for saying that. Politics is very fun and interesting. Okay, going through the chat. Let's see here. Teslin said, Massey sucked me in at first with his homestead, the house he and his wife built, but then ... Yeah. Oh man, wait till if you guys watch my City of London breakdown video, you got to see where I talk about how libertarianism was created by MI6 out of City of London as an ideology. So that tells you all you need to know about strict libertarianism. It's very libertarianism. And look, I used to be duped by libertarianism too. I used to consider myself like libertarian light. I really liked a lot of this stuff, but what I've come to learn is that libertarianism, really what it is, it's about just being black-pilled all the time about everything and being ideological in a way that doesn't make a difference. Because your ideology teaches you power is bad, and yet you have to have power in order to enforce your ideology. So libertarianism never goes anywhere, and it's just like a big stick in the mud. It's pathetic, and it's actually very anti-American the way once you go back and study the original founding fathers, the Federalist Papers, and go on and so forth. Libertarians like to be like, no, they were all libertarians. No, they weren't. No, they weren't, not at all. They actually understood government and how it was to be wielded and used too. And they also, unlike libertarians, understood how to deal with threats. Libertarians are just like, be nice to everybody, they'll be nice to you. Muslims are only mean because we bombed them first. They have no idea about history at all. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about libertarian, down the street. He might be very smart. I'm talking about the people in charge pushing it down on us and acting like they are the only people who are good for America. They're not. They're terrible for America. Sierra says, I'm from Cali. Dems don't care how bad their people are. They'll still vote. Yeah, they will. That's absolutely right. They stick together no matter what because they've been told we're evil. So Ray Sandoval says, I like David Medina. I don't think he has a chance. He was pardoned by Trump for J6. Depends where he's at. If he's in a huge MAGA district, he has a chance. Otherwise, no way. No way. Ellen says, I don't have the temperament to do this all the time, but I enjoy the live. Well, good. Well, you can just watch here and laugh and listen and get upset if I say something you don't like, and then go on with the rest of your day. I do my best to cover what's important every day. And it's only going to get better because in just a couple weeks, guys, I'm gonna be able to do a lot more with this show, and it'll get even better. Teslin says, if you care about family, you have to at least be informed on politics. I agree with you, but there's a lot of people who feel like that's not a true statement, and I think that's insane. Brent says, Harris washed all the LASD civil rights violation trials under the rug. Way too much dirt this girl knows to have walking around blabbering drunk. You're right, and yet they still let her do it. So ask yourself why. It's because they know she'll do anything. That's how I see it. Redleg says, I asked a leftist yesterday what atrocities Trump committed to hate him so much. He actually said mean tweets. Well, at least he's honest, I guess. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, my God. Californians gotten used to social decay and think it's normal to step over bodies as they walk on the side. Well, how sad is that? Just remember. Wasn't Massey's late wife want to have family with all the money in land? I don't know. Maybe. Stick in the mud's a gay slur. Well, I'll use it again. There's sticks in the mud. They did run a gay candidate for president, Mudblood. Let's see here. Barack Obama wants to puppet somebody else now. Barack is the puppet. That's the thing. Have you noticed? Barack was their guy. He was supposed to get it all done. He failed. And he's lazy. He never rose up the next generation. That's why the Democrats suck with candidates right now. What's also interesting with Obama, okay? He doesn't think for himself, and he doesn't want to do politics anymore. He just wants to be rich and hang out. He wants to enjoy the fruit of his labor. If you notice with Obama, he has to be like dragged in ever to help them. With Joe Biden, he would, give Joe orders and Joe would fill them out, or his staff would. But other than that, Obama doesn't come on the scene very much. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but he doesn't want to do it anymore. He just wants to be rich. He's lazy. And that's why Obama isn't the threat you think he is. He had his time, and now he's like, I'm done. I just want to chill and play power broker over the phone sometimes. But he's not the hardcore guy you got to worry about. You got to worry about a lot of them behind the scenes. John Brennan, Carville, and others we don't know about. But the Democrats are a bunch of idiots who are controlled behind the scenes. And most of them are just happy to be there to get their money, to get, their prostitutes, their other gross stuff I'm not going to talk about on this live. Whatever it is that touches their pleasure centers. But this is why these people are so stupid and vacuous. There's nothing there. But they'll say anything they can to get money and power and all that. But that's when this isn't the Democrats that produced Bill Clinton or even Obama himself. I mean, look at them. Look at this group of, it's pathetic. It's worse than 2004 when they ran John Kerry. At least John Kerry had a record of doing something. Out of all these people, if Shapiro wasn't a Jew, he'd be scary. But he's a Jew, so the Democrats hate Jews, so they'll never vote him in. Pritzker, I believe, is a Jew too. So they have no chance. So that means it's really between Newsom and Harris at this point. Or butt plug Buttigieg. So, yeah, Podesta, he's one of them. Those are the guys you have to worry about. The smart people on the left, guys, are behind the scenes. They're not out in front. And they're going to pour all the money in. They're going to do everything they can to cheat to win. And if they win, then it'll be just like Biden, where it's just another. See, Obama, when he got in, he was controlled as far as he was raised, but he was also, he liked being a leader. So he liked putting people down. He liked making decisions. None of these people care about making decisions. Maybe Newsom, but Newsom sucks and his state is falling apart. So he's got a very difficult time. Somebody talking about Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel is the dark horse that's not on here, who is very smart and wicked, and he could sneak in. He could. But so far, he's got no traction. We got to pray that stays that way, because Rahm would be scary. That guy is smart, and yeah, just like you say, he's the devil. He is horrible. And he could put up a fight, but I don't think he'll get there. I don't think the base will let him in. See, the base is their own worst enemy. They're the best thing ever when you're in a general election, because they'll never change their vote. They'll just vote Democrat no matter what. You could go take a crap on their face and they'll vote for you. But when it comes to the primaries, the base is crazy. So they'll always vote the most crazy person in. And that's the deal with the devil they made with their base. Seth says, why is MAGA concerned with the well-being of illegals, not seeing as a return on investment? I don't quite know what you mean by that, Seth. Could you could you maybe explain that a little better? Sorry, I don't really understand what you're saying. Red Leg says Michael Obama, no Harris. Michelle Obama will never run. So she's lazier than Barack. She hates politics. He, whatever. They hate politics. Loves just living the good life. Does not want to go into battle, and also, if Michael is truly packing down there, that would be a crazy thing to deal with in the election and be exposed. They don't want to deal with that. So, yeah, Newsom father was business partners with Jerry Brown, and he's also, I believe, the nephew of Nancy Pelosi. He's related to Pelosi. Never let a good crisis go to waste. That is the famous Rahm Emanuel. Yep, you're 100% right. Seth, do you have a breakdown of what you asked? Because I will answer it, but I'm going to head out here in a minute. Okay, Seth says, I don't get why MAGA's okay with illegals going to hospitals and not paying for it. What return are we getting? When is MAGA okay with illegals going to hospitals? I don't know what you're saying. MAGA's not okay with that. There might be Republicans that are okay with that, but that doesn't mean they're MAGA. Listen, not all Republicans are MAGA. MAGA is 70% of Republicans, okay? But that other 30% is like either neoconish or traditional conservative. They don't like everything about MAGA, or they don't like Trump, but they'll still like what he's doing. And then you have the people in power. And in the people in power in the Republican Party, they're maybe 30% MAGA. And the other 70% is deep state uniparty, neocons, all that. And they hate what Trump's doing because he's ruining the party. He's ruining the good times. And Trump is slowly replacing them over time, but it's a long process. It's a long process because you get a lot of people who've played the game really well for a long time. And now that you're in power, it's really hard to show if they're corrupt, because you need their vote, and you can't. So I can't deal with that. But MAGA is not okay with illegals going to the hospital. That's just not a thing. So I don't understand why you're asking that. Democrats haven't had a primary since 2008. Why would they now? Well, it's a good point. They do have the superdelegates still. They're going to push through who they want. They always do. And so that tells me if they want Harris, they're going to get Harris. They don't want Newsom. He's got too much baggage. They can't run Shapiro. Their base won't let a Jew win. AOC is too stupid and young, and the more she's out there, the worse it looks for her. Pritzker is fat and ugly and a Jew, so he has no chance. And they all hate Rahm Emanuel. They do. He's hated within the party because he's too tough. He doesn't play by their rules. He's just going to do what Rahm wants to do, even though it's wicked and evil and gross. So they like Harris is to the people at the top. Harris is their best choice right now, unless they're going to bring somebody out of the wilderness who we don't know yet. I don't see it happening. There's just no way out there. You're telling me Pete Buttigieg, like, first of all, one of the biggest parts of their base is black, and Pete Buttigieg is 0% polling with blacks because black people hate gays. It's just the truth. No, it's not a racial stereotype. It's just the truth. He's got 0% with black people. So Buttigieg can't win, even though he's probably their most well-spoken candidate. So yeah, it's like they are between a rock and a hard place. They just have nobody. It's pathetic. So yeah, it definitely could be Harris. As long as if their base rebels on them, and if the base rebels on them in the primaries and just goes all in, that's the only way Harris or Newsom lose. And if the base goes all in, it's going to be somebody like AOC, which that would just be the funniest thing ever. That would be the funniest thing ever. You know, the powers that be don't like AOC. She's a loose cannon. They don't like a loose cannon. So, Cabo says maybe it was a good thing Trump lost to win 4 years later. It is a good thing. In hindsight, Trump being gone for 4 years was the best thing that could happen to our country. It gave us 4 years for the left to expose themselves even more. It gave 4 years for Trump to bring back a super team and be much more prepared. And America was much more ready for what Trump's doing this time than it would have been if he'd stayed. So in hindsight, yeah, it was great because almost everything Biden did was easy to undo. So Ellen says, I'm half tempted to vote in the Dem primary to see if I can get her for them. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. What about the lady who poured a pot of scalding mashed potatoes on her husband's head? Oh, that's Katie Porter. She has no chance to be president. You know who wants to be president, who might throw her head in the race, but it's already not looking good, is Spamberger in Virginia. She was like a chosen one. She's CIA. They want her to be president, but I don't think she can get it. I don't think she has what it takes. Yeah, the Dem cheating does screw them. It really does. Newsom Pelosi family controlling California for 4 decades. I know. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So, all right, guys. I got to head out. I got to get some sleep. Tomorrow, I'll be back. Another live tomorrow. But listen, guys, we're winning. Things are going well. Today was a great day. If you're MAGA, today was a great day. So before you leave, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and let's pray and call it a night. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless everybody watching. Thank you, Lord, for them. And God, I just thank you for what you're doing in this nation and what you're doing through our leadership. It's incredible to see just the moves they keep making and the long-term planning that they're accomplishing in these moves they make. I thank you so much that we're getting our country back and better, I believe, than ever. And so, Father, we just pray for our country that you'd bless it with prosperity, peace, and justice more than ever before, that we can leave a better country to our kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, so on and so forth. And, Father, that you would bless our president with protection, wisdom, and boldness, and that would extend to everybody fighting for us up there in Washington and around it. So thank you for that, Lord, and just again bless everybody here, meet their needs, Lord, and just, Lord, let them know you're always with them in Jesus' name, amen. All right, love you guys. Have a blessed night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Headlines screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks